In today's video, I'm going to talk about my favorite rig for fishing and doing hand-to-hand combat with these crappie deep in brush piles. And when I'm talking about this, I'm specifically talking about fishing for crappie that are buried deep in brush. And recently, it just seems like that's where they are. We're in fall, but it's been really mild for our fall. And it just seems like they're buried deep in brush and you've got to really get in there. It seems like the little ones are on the outside and the big mamas are deep down in there. And if you don't get in there, they're just kind of like hanging out. It's like they're hanging out on their couch. And you just got to drop that minnow right on their nose and they're like, I'll eat it. You got to go in there, got to get in their face. And this rig seems to really have helped me get those lures presented in a way that I can get those big fish. If this is your first time here, my name is Ryan. I'm a host here on RHINOjoe Outdoors. I like to do all kinds of outdoors content, fishing, all that stuff. I have a bunch of kayak fishing videos. Recently bought this boat, so I'll have more stuff coming out in the boat. Not completely getting away from kayak fishing, but check those videos out if you want. But you're here for this today, and we're going to get to it. So the rig that I'm using is very similar to a drop shot setup in bass fishing. The main difference is that I'm fishing with a minnow, and instead of having that lure tied directly to the line, I can use a loop knot to make it a little bit more adjustable. Alright, so I drew up a diagram to show you guys what I'm talking about, and then I'll show you how to tie it up and what you're going to need. So this is my crude little diagram here. Let's get it to focus here. Alright, so number one here is a traditional drop shot. You've got your red as your weight, blue is your line, the gray is your hook. So traditionally, you have everything tied directly to the line, and then if in a traditional drop shot, you would have your soft plastic coming off here, and you can tie it that way. And usually, like I'm doing this with a minnow. So, like when you're doing this with a minnow, one thing is I really like to give that minnow a little bit of room to kind of swim around. But you just have to remember that the more space you give that minnow to swim around, the more of a chance you might get hung up is. So in the middle is, let's get that to focus here. In the middle is usually kind of like how I tie it and about the length. You know, a couple inches, like 2 to 4 inches of a loop knot. You still have your weight on the bottom. I usually use like an 1/8 ounce weight, or you can do it with a big loop knot, giving that minnow a lot more freedom, so that it can swim around and get down in there and entice those finicky little crappie as they have been recently. So I'm going to get in the front here and get out my stuff so I can show you. So this is actually my bass fishing weights, but alright, so these are the weights that I like to use, are these little 1/8 ounce drop shot weights. They're really super easy. They have this little drop shot tie on the top, so all you do is just like put your line through it, pull down, and then it secures to your line. That seems to be the weight that I really like to use. Dad burn it, I'll tell you what, I'm all tangled. Alright, so got my little crappie pole here. Trying to think of the best way to show you all this. Let's see here, we're going to play around. So what I'm going to do is I got my Aberdeen hook here, really small little light wire hook. I'm going to put my line through that. And then just remember that however long you pull through, that tag end is going to be the length between your little minnow hook and your weight. So depending on how long you want that to be, usually I do like 1 foot, 1.5 foot is going to be that length. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rod here, I'm going to release my bail so I can pull a little bit more line out, sit my drop shot weight down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both ends of my line. So I've got the tag end and the end going to the rod, and I'm going to grab both of them. And so now I've got my line in a little loop here. What I'm going to do is take both those lines, go around my fingers, and so I made like a little circle here. And then once I make that circle, I'm just going to do an overhand knot. It's going to go through the circle and then back through the circle again. And so you basically kind of have like a double little overhand knot. And then as I pull this out, that's going to adjust the size of that loop that allows that minnow to swim around. So like I said, I usually do about 2 to 3 inches. I'm gonna wet that knot so that it doesn't really hurt my line here. And I'm gonna pull on both ends and tighten that down. So now I got my little loop here. And so what that allows my minnow to do is swim around. So for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and put that drop shot weight on there. And these drop shot weights are super nice. You could get away with like an egg sinker with the little swivel on the top if you wanted. These are probably a little bit more expensive. But then you just put that on there and you pull that up through. Doop, doop, doo. And there you go. So I'm gonna grab a Bobby Garland baby shad just to kind of like show you all what this looks like. Man, I went to the store today because I always like to have the milk of the monkey. The monkey milk is one of my favorite colors. But I found these little itty bitty swimmers. These things are super tiny. I don't know, like look at them compared. Isn't that crazy? I'm like, these might be great for when they're super finicky. So what I want to do is put this on here so you all can actually see it. So alright guys, so you got your setup here now. Got my Bobby Garland baby shad on there, nose hook so you can kind of see what it looks like. You got your weight at the bottom. You can always adjust that weight up or down depending on what you want to fish with. And the great thing about this is you give your minnow room to swim around, but like you can really control what depth you have that at. And if you reduce the size of this loop knot, you can really reduce your ability to get snagged. I know this is a great rig that I used this is actually what I used when I took my kids out fishing with this, except for I tied it directly to the line and didn't really have a big loop. And it was excellent because it really, if somebody's just getting into crappie fishing, you can really feel those strikes when they hit this because the hook is right there in the line and you've got the weight going down. It makes a super simple rig, and it's really great for fishing when you're in heavy cover, because if you're looking at, like imagine if you were looking from the camera, you right there, and you're looking down at all this brush that's all intertangled. If you drop straight in and you just go straight up and down, you're not going to get tangled. It's when you come across that brush is when you're getting all caught up. And I tell you what, like I tried fishing jigs the other day. I was doing all kinds of stuff and I was just constantly getting snagged. And this was the only way that I could catch those crappie that were deep down in that brush. So, hey guys, hopefully this helps you out. And if you go out crappie fishing and use this and it helps you out, please come back and comment on this video. If you have any tips, suggestions to anybody out there, please comment down below. And I will link these supplies and all that jazz down in the description. And those are Amazon affiliate links, and they help me out, support my channel, all that stuff. Hopefully one of these days I'll be able to get some of that Panty Optics, that Garmin Panty Optics. I tell you what, son, if I had that, I could tell what them fish is thinking. Son, maybe one of these days. But until then, I'm going to keep on fishing. You better keep on fishing too. So I'm going to show a clip here of exactly what I'm talking about, how getting deep in those brush piles can produce those bigger fish. So I was just over here and I had something big on, and I had it hooked and it just yanked me right back down the brush. It's probably catfish. It was big, whatever it was. All I did was set up there's a lot of brush down here, so I set up like a little drop shot rig basically with a minnow, trying to pull it out here, get me a nice mess of fish. There we go. Oh my gosh, look at this crappie. Look at this crappie. Look at this crappie. Ah! Oh my gosh. That is one of the biggest crappie I've ever caught. Oh my God. Hey guys, as always, don't forget to get outside and do something awesome. Take somebody with you to get a chance. And if you use this rig when you're out on the water, please comment down below and let me know about it. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. As always, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. All these supplies and stuff are going to be linked down below so that you all can find them and go out and chase fish just like you were sitting in my boat with me. And hopefully you all go tear them up. Tight lines. I'll see you in the next video.